Hey contractors, welcome back to Beyond the Tools. We are wrapping up another season. I can't believe how fast this year has flown and how many incredible guests we've had. If you are watching this version on YouTube, you'll notice my surroundings are a little bit different. Or if you're just listening, hopefully you can hear some waves crashing in the background. But I just finished moving. And with that, that means my studio, my home studio is gone. I'm going to be setting up another space, but for now, I thought this was a great way to cap off the season and talk a little bit about what to expect in the season to come. Over the past year, we've had conversations with business owners, contractors, people who are training and helping companies like yours to thrive. So many leading experts across the industry in North America. And as I was thinking about the finale, I was asking myself one question. What actually stood out? Not just the tactics, not just the tools and things that are actually working to help accelerate your business, but the bigger lessons underneath all of it. Things that seem to keep showing up again and again in these businesses that are growing and thriving. Before I get into that, I just want to say a huge thank you. You're spending your valuable time listening. Whether you're someone who's been listening to the podcast from day one 5 years ago, or you just found this podcast last week. Thank you for being here, for spending your time with us, and for investing in yourself and learning how you can grow your business. Thank you for the messages, the comments, the shares, the views, sending this to your fellow contractors, and really helping us get the word out there to really amplify our guests and to be able to help more contractors who are struggling, who are not seeing the results that they want to see, who want to build something much more meaningful, much bigger than themselves. Truly, this podcast exists because people like you are supporting us, and I don't take that for granted at all. And our incredible guests who have poured so much of themselves into every episode, every conversation to make sure that what you're hearing is actually going to be helpful. It's going to be worth your time. I cannot be more grateful for the people who have taken the time out of their very busy days to share all of this with you. And as I look back on this season, really there's one thing that jumps out to me. And that's that the most successful leaders, they didn't claim to have it all figured out. They were curious. They kept growing and listening and improving. They weren't trying to show that they knew it all. You would think that after building multi-million-dollar businesses and getting to the level of success that a lot of these leaders are at, that, they would have that attitude of been there, done that. I've got it all figured out. But truly, these are people that have stayed humble, that have stayed curious, and are always looking for new ways to improve their businesses. So whether that was Ryan Redding talking about curiosity, or Sandra Ansell explaining the do's and don'ts of succession planning, Justin Beaulieu talking about the importance of relationship building, or Dan Friesen talking about leadership, there was something that was in common with all of these people. The best leaders stay curious. They keep learning, they ask questions, they're dedicated to improving themselves as leaders and continuing to help their people and help their businesses thrive. All of these people are willing to ask questions and they're willing to admit that they don't know something. And I think that's especially important right now because we are in a changing world. A lot of contractors are struggling right now. Consumers are holding on to their dollars more, and things that were easy in the past are now suddenly not so easy. So the contractors that continue to grow and succeed are the ones that are willing to learn something new, to try something different, to connect with new people, to ask their team, to explore things, to really figure out, different ways. They're the ones who are willing to learn something new even after being in this business for decades. So this season we talked about marketing, we talked about AI, we talked about CSRs, we talked about leadership, we talked about your financials and knowing your numbers. Another thing that came up over and over again this season was your people. We talked about marketing, we talked about AI, we talked about how to get higher booking rates, we talked about recruitment, knowing your numbers and financials. But underneath every one of those conversations was a reminder that business is still about people. Dan Friesen spoke about supporting, protecting, and developing. Ryan Sledge talked about hiring people who care and giving them a playbook. Stephanie Postel shared how culture impacts every part of their business. Jody Underhill talked about recruiting and attracting and keeping the right people. Brennan Arsenault talked about developing the next generation of technicians. Erica Leonore reminded us that communication is a skill that can totally change the customer experience. Different conversations, different perspectives, but the same message. I think sometimes as business owners, we can take that for granted, or we get distracted by the next shiny thing, the new software, the new marketing technique, whatever. But at the end of the day, businesses are built by people. And on that note, this season we talked a lot about relationships. I don't think there was a single guest that didn't touch on this in some way. Angie Becker talked about how contractors and wholesalers can work together more effectively. Stephanie Allen talked about reconnecting with customers. Even our marketing conversations came back to relationships, because customers don't buy anything without trust, and having them be able to know, like, and trust you is how your business succeeds. And we talk about AI and automations and all these fancy robotic things, but at the end of the day, people buy from people. And that's something that technology is not going to replace, or at least anytime soon. Another common thread this season that is much more relevant to my day-to-day is that marketing is changing so fast. I always talk about how marketing is much more nuanced now, and the person that is really good at PPC or really good at getting you ranked organically on Google is not the same person who can write your email marketing, or not the same person who can run your meta ads. Things are so different, and our guests definitely reflected that as well. Tim Brown talked about personal branding and how that really helped him to build Hook Agency and help their clients. Jen McKee talked about how visibility matters and how important that is long before a customer reaches out to you. Alex Van Leeuwen talked about what happens after the lead comes in, how important that process is on the phone, and marketing isn't always the problem. Thaddeus Tondo explained how trust and conversion is way more important than traffic alone. So marketing isn't just one skill set anymore. It's not just about ads or just about SEO. It's really a whole world. It's the entire customer experience. Everything from the billboard that they see, to your trucks on the road, to your Facebook posts, to the experience that they get when they call in to your CSRs. And ultimately, it's the companies that have the best customer experience overall, all of those touch points through marketing, those are the companies that are winning. There's honestly so much more I could say about this last season, but the episodes speak for themselves. And on that note, I'm excited to talk about what's ahead. So we are going to be taking a little break. I need to get a new studio set up. We also have a lot of amazing guests in the pipeline that we want to get their insights out to you. Obviously, summer is a very busy time for everybody in this industry, so we want to give a little time and space and come back with a bang in September. So look forward to season 3 starting September 9th. In the interim, we may publish some encores of episodes that you may have missed, because when we're pumping out episodes every 2 weeks, it's really easy to miss an incredible guest, or even episodes from years ago. If you're a new listener, the fundamentals don't change, and there's so many incredible nuggets that are worth sharing again. So keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, I will be back in September with a brand new season. And already we've got some guests lined up that I cannot wait for you to hear. And I also want to give a major shout out to Magdalena Posada, who is our podcast producer. I can't tell you how much work goes into running a podcast. It is insane. And Magdalena keeps us on schedule, everything running smoothly. She makes sure that all of our guests sound their best. The work that goes into this, that she puts into this, is truly incredible. So I want to give her a big shout out for making this all possible, because when I was doing this more so on my own or with other agencies, it was a lot of work and I was not as consistent. So Magdalena is really a big part of why you get these episodes every 2 weeks. And truly, to wrap up, this season reminded me why I do this podcast in the first place. For me, it's this industry. It is all about the people. And I think there are so many incredible voices that you've probably never heard before. And running a business is lonely. It is so hard. And to hear from real people what's working for them, but also their struggles, also their worst periods in their lives and how they were able to overcome that. That is so powerful. And I thank every guest for being so vulnerable, so transparent, and really sharing the highs and lows of their journey. And I think it makes all of us business owners feel a little less alone. And it also gives us a path of how we can move forward. So thank you again for being part of this journey on the Beyond the Tools podcast. I'm Krystal Hobbs. I can't wait to see you again in September.